Hey guys, my name is Jones and I'm here with JT, and today we're going to teach you how to winterize your swimming pool. That's one of the most common questions that we get asked is how do I get ready for the winter so that my lines don't freeze? Now before we get started, there's going to be a couple things that you need to make sure that you have. First, you're going to need a shop vac. You're also going to need winterization plugs for your returns and also a gizmo for your skimmer. We'll explain what a gizmo is a bit later. In addition to that, you'll need winterization chemicals and RV antifreeze. It's important that you get RV antifreeze and not car antifreeze. And we'll go into that as well.
So what we're gonna do is lower the water level a little bit. We're gonna blow the lines out. We're gonna get this pool scrubbed down real nice and clean, test the water chemistry so we can get ready for the winterization process.
Let's do it.
All right, so this is your typical winterization kit for treating a swimming pool. And this one treats up to 30,000 gallons of water. When you get it, you'll notice there's a couple of things in here, winter stain and scale control. You got your non-chlorinating shock. And then winterizing power. This is also a pH buffer. You can get this stuff on poolwarehouse.com. And when you're going to winterize your swimming pool, you want to make sure to put this through your pump and filtration system so it cycles through your water for up to 24 hours before you go through with the entire winterization process.
All right guys, so we've gone ahead and cleaned this pool. The water is balanced and it is ready to go. One of the first things you need to do after you've cleaned it is to drop the water 4 to 6 inches below the skimmer. Now we've gone ahead and done that. You'll need a pump to do that. Just drop it in, let it run for an hour or two. Just make sure you pay attention and stop it about 4 to 6 inches below the water line. You don't need to get it below the returns. We're gonna put plugs in there to close those returns up tight.
All right, so Jones cleaned the pool up real nice for us and got the water level dropped down. And what I'm gonna do is get the plugs out of the pump, get the cap off of the filter, make sure that our filter's lever is in the backwash position so that it remains open. And then I'm gonna open up the automatic chlorine feeder and make sure that we don't have any chlorine tablets in the chlorine feeder. So on your pump, you've got 2 plugs. There's one right here in the front and then one on the side back where the impeller is. Once I take those out, I'm gonna open my lid, and then a good place to store those for the winter is in the pump basket. You'll see that in just a moment. So now that I got the plugs out of the pump, I'm gonna make sure that our lever is in the backwash position so that it's open. Take this cap off the bottom and release that water as well. So now that I've got my plugs out of my pump, the sand filter lever in the backwash position, the cap off, draining all the water out of there, I'm gonna open up this automatic chlorine feeder and make sure I don't have any chlorine tabs in that. And we've removed those, so we're good. And I'm also gonna make sure that all of my valves are in the open position. That's very important, and I've already done that. So all of our valves are in the open position, and we are ready to finish this thing up.
All right guys, so we're about to go ahead and suck all the water out of the skimmer lines. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about a gizmo. It's an interesting word for a very simple product. It's called the Deluxe Skimmer Winterization Tube, and we sell these at poolwarehouse.com. It's very easy to use, and you definitely want to get one for each skimmer that you have. Now, the first thing you need to do is make sure you get the basket out of your skimmer. Now this is threaded for 1.5 or 2-inch plumbing, so it really doesn't matter what size plumbing that you have. Ultimately, you're gonna screw this down inside of the skimmer, and it's gonna keep ice from expanding and cracking that skimmer. So over the course of the winter, water will get back inside of there. As it gets colder, that water will freeze, turn into ice, and it'll want to expand and bust your skimmer. This will keep that from happening. Definitely consider getting one for each skimmer that you have, and we'll show you how to use that in just a minute. All right guys, we've got our shop vac over here, and we're gonna go ahead and start sucking all that water out of the line. Now, this fitting you can pick up at Pool Warehouse or at Home Depot. It's just a little fitting that goes on the end of your hose. And we're gonna put that right down into that line. Pretty snugly. Now take your time. You wanna make sure that you get all the water that you possibly can out of that line. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. You'll feel the water kind of come through the line, and you'll know when you're done.
All right, so most of you at home that are winterizing your own pools, you're gonna use probably a rubber plug that goes into your return lines. They've got a little washer on the end, 1.5 inch rubber in the middle, and a wing nut on the front. You're just gonna drop your water below the return lines, plug that return line, and then use that wing nut to tighten it down. That rubber is gonna expand in that return line, not allowing any water in or out. Now what we did, it's a little bit different. We're gonna leave the water above the return lines. So we went to our local hardware store, picked up some 1.5 inch PVC. We've got these little 90-degree elbows on top, and then an 1.5 inch cap. So we're gonna take this, and as you can see, I've already put one in the pool. I've plugged it into the return line, spun it around and around and around, screwed it into that return line, leaving this vertical so that it's facing up. After I've done that, I'm gonna take my shop vac, like Jones did earlier, take the shop vac, I'm gonna stick it on the top of this 1.5 inch PVC, suck any water out that might be in that return line. Once it's nice and clear, I'm gonna take my cap, stick it on the top, and we'll be ready for winter. All right, we've got our lines all blown out, water sucked out of them. So what we're gonna do now is take this RV Antifreeze and dump it down in our lines. So we're gonna use about 1/3 of this gallon on each one of these return lines here. The reason we're using the RV Antifreeze is because it's completely safe, it's non-toxic, unlike the antifreeze that you put in your regular automobile. So make sure, it's very important that you get RV/marine antifreeze.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and thread this Gizmo inside of there. And what I really like about this Gizmo is that it has O-rings on it, so there's no need for Teflon tape. You can get some really cheap ones online, import models that don't have O-rings on them. This also acts as your funnel, so it's got a cap that you can pull out. That way you can dump your antifreeze right inside. If you don't get one like this, just make sure that you Teflon tape this really well, the threads. Now let's go ahead and thread it in. Okay, that's nice and snug in there now. And we're gonna go ahead and dump some of that RV antifreeze down into that plug. There we go. All right, if you missed the hole, it's okay. You definitely want to get a little bit of antifreeze or that RV antifreeze down inside the skimmer as well. So dump a little bit extra in there. Just make sure that you get definitely at least half a container down into the skimmer, and then leave some inside the skimmer as well. Okay guys, we're done winterizing this swimming pool. It really doesn't take that long at all. So you don't have to hire someone to do this. You can do it yourself. Just get the right tools and you're all set. Now make sure to remember, if you have deck jets or maybe a waterfall or a pool slide that requires water, you'll want to winterize those items as well. You definitely don't want any busted pipes this winter.
No, that's a bad thing. So again, thank you so much for joining us for winterizing your swimming pool. And again, I'm JT and this is Jones from poolwarehouse.com.